So, I finally got to play Assassin's Creed Origins, and I'm not gonna lie, they were actually fucking cooking over there at Ubisoft. Do I totally agree with the direction they took with the game and all the levels and weapon tiers and all this other shit? No, I'm not gonna say that. But I will say that it is a much better direction than what the fuck they've been doing for the last few years before that. Before with Syndicate and Unity, and especially with the modern day stuff like what the fuck. But let's talk about Origins and how it could have been better story and gameplay wise, because of course years down the line we got to pick it all apart. But it's a good game. I enjoyed the game. First and foremost, I have to say this. I think the gameplay was fun, and as I leveled up and got used to the gameplay and the mechanics and the game itself, right, making Bayek much more powerful with the new moves and abilities, and catering everything to my style. I think overall, it was just fun. It was a fun game, and as of right now, I'm playing Valhalla, unfortunately. And honestly, the best thing I can say, like ability and move wise and everything that I had fun with, was with Odyssey. Am I saying that Origins and its gameplay and stuff wasn't the best? No, but I do think that Odyssey was the best, right, so far. I did enjoy Origins and all the different weapon types and stuff you can use, all very interesting, right? For me, did I max out like the skill trees and stuff like that in Origins? No. Like, did the game force me to respec and go about a problem a different way in doing that? No. Was the leveling stuff good? It took some time to get used to all the leveling and the weapon tiers and all this other shit, right? Especially when it came to like the map. The map was fucking huge, and when you're playing Assassin's Creed, like that's not something you really care about until like the more modern Assassin's Creed starts making these big old huge fucking maps, right? That you don't know if you'll get to it, right? But did I max everything out for myself? No. Did I get used to the large map? Yes, at some point I did, because the story will go ahead and have you go around the map in a semi-natural way, because of the storyline, because of your natural inclination to go ahead and explore. That's just how it is, right? Because it's an open world game. The story, for the most part, and the decent XP that you can get on the way to missions, to side missions, just doing random shit, right, all helps keep the game together and on its feet, which is really nice. It's really nice that it has that sort of balance to it. I do think in Origins it's much more balanced than Odyssey, and especially in fucking Valhalla. The balance between the world and the missions and what to do with it, because of course Ubisoft is known for adding so much fucking fluff and bullshit in of itself to like sort of pad out the game. That's a lot of what Ubisoft does, especially in the modern games, right, for Assassin's Creed. Like, pad out the game a lot with a lot of side shit that you can do. And honestly, like Origins itself doesn't really have that. It's more so it's in line with its story. It's in of itself, because it makes sense, right? You are a magi and you help people. That's in story. It's what you do. So it makes more sense in that way, right? For some reason, people are still looking at Assassin's Creed games as being that sort of semi open world, like kind of linear storytelling sort of thing. I don't know why people are still looking for a single player, very linear experience in an open world Assassin's Creed game. It hasn't been like that for a while, and now it's much less that identity when it comes to modern Assassin's Creed games. So if you're looking for a very linear sort of game, I don't know why you're playing modern Assassin's Creed games, Chief. That's not how that works. Play the game in moderation, do side quests, or have it in easy mode if you just want to go ahead and level up really easy and get through the game. That's just my honest opinion. Let's talk about the weapons, the different types of weapons, from the swords, the dual swords, the hammers, the scepters and stuff like that. It's all great. It's all very much enjoyable, right? Especially with the different styles and different drip, and you know, like the rarities are cool and all, like, you know, with their added stat benefits and stuff like that. It's just something like I would rather make a weapon that I customize myself and put work into it to make it that badass. But of course, you know, as soon as you get given a weapon when doing something like a side quest, or you kill like a powerful enemy, like a legendary enemy or something, you know, you're gonna keep that on deck just in case and upgrade it here and there. That's what I did with in Odyssey. Valhalla isn't really like that. They don't really throw weapons and weapon tiers and shit like that at you at all. You basically had to build everything from the ground up, but it's not really enjoyable, right? You can't really customize your weapon like that. There's not much weapons. You got to go find the weapons themselves in specific boxes and shit like that. There is the raids and stuff. Well, I'm getting off track here. I'm getting too off track. That's for its own video. I'm still going through that one right now. But okay, I will say that the tools and weapons can be really fun and change around with. It is really fun. The different rarities and stuff, I'm never going to be a fan of, right? I would just much rather be allowed for us to apply different mechanics and different sort of like gameplay changing stats or abilities to our weapons themselves. How even the style of the weapon can, you know, make a different change in gameplay, right? And make it unique to us, right? Building and customizing our weapons would be pretty goddamn dope, honestly, in my opinion, right? That's just my opinion. Now the drip. Let's talk about the drip. Like, you know, they're basically just full-blown outfits with like a headpiece. That's really just it. I think most of the drip for Bayek is pretty cool. Like, you know, he's a pretty cool character in of himself. I love his character design overall. I feel like in Odyssey they did do all the drip and everything much better, because there's armor pieces for like your head, your chest, your armor wear, your pants. You know, there's different aspects that you can go ahead and use, and in a lot of like the drip that you have in Odyssey is just so fucking badass. You can make Cassandra or Alexio so fucking cool, and you know, it's just fun. It's just overall, it's just fun. Now let's talk about something more in line with the story, and that's with hunting the Order of the Ancients, which is super linear and super tied to the story, right? Which is cool. You know, while the next games make hunting the Cult of Cosmos, or, you know, the Order of the Ancients and stuff, like mostly optional for a majority of its members, besides like a few that are part of the story, of course, right? Hunting the entire order in Origins makes sense, like, wholeheartedly in its story, because it's just the nature of the story, right? Because you're hunting the order because you're trying to go for revenge, and this is just technically the origins of the Brotherhood, even though Odyssey's before all this, right? It's nice to see like the origins of the Brotherhood, and the people that went ahead and helped create like tenets, and, you know, how they go ahead and go about things. It's really nice. It's really cool. This was a great step for the series at the time, but, you know, we'll get to it, to all the bullshit, when we get to it. But man, the story, I think, is probably the better stories among like the modern Assassin's Creed games. I'm currently playing again. I'm playing Valhalla right now, and it's Jesus fuck. Jesus, it hurts my soul. But Origins has a story that doesn't focus on building the order, but on a quest of revenge by a grieving husband and wife who had been wronged by a group of people, the order of the Ancients at the time, only to realize this group is much more powerful than they realize, and they need assistance taking these people down, only to find out that their biggest supporter becomes one of these people, one of the Order of the Ancients, which is Cleopatra, right? Of course, this group is the Order of the Ancients, like I said, and they destroyed Bayek and Aya's lives, and of course, yeah, you know, they go ahead and eventually create the Order to go ahead and stop them, right? And honestly, what they did here is pretty cool. Like the death of Julius Caesar being started by us, like stabbing him and killing him, and all the other senators going ahead and fucking his ass up. You know, her threatening Cleopatra as well. It's all pretty interesting stuff, right? It's all in line to stuff we know in history, and it's really cool that we ourselves were directly involved in these massive historical events, which is something I love, absolutely love about Assassin's Creed. So with Julius Caesar, he is the father of understanding that we all heard about throughout the games, right? He is the Templars, Abstergo's father of understanding. Of course, there is an Isu father of understanding, but Julius Caesar, I'm pretty sure, is just the Templar one, right? He's the one, I guess, that helped put the order on the path we see today. And of course, you know, he got hit with that stabbing spree, of course, but you know, he's still remembered from a historical standpoint and from the Templar standpoint, right? So he's a very important character in the series, right? And being able to start off like such a historical event is something I really enjoyed in Assassin's Creed, right? It's what made the Ezio trilogy so good, with the Borgia, Connor story with the Revolutionary War, Edward's story with his involvement with famous pirates like Blackbeard. They did start to taper off, making these characters more like side characters during that era of especially mainly just after Black Flag, honestly, with I guess Rogue and Unity and what was it? I forget. Syndicate, where a lot of these like important famous characters are just there, right? They're just characters in our story, instead of just being characters that happen to be around and we're sort of like they're either the antagonist, or you know, they're characters that help us in a big way and we're part of their history that's set in stone. I love history, and Assassin's Creed used to do so well with history, just playing along with it. But in this recently, they just started just going ahead and just using it as the basis for their own version of history, which, you know, it's kind of annoying, because I want to see history unfold and be part of that history in Assassin's Creed. I don't want to just go ahead and just have these characters there just for the cool factor, right? So, but anyways, I'm getting too off topic again. Let's get back into Origins. The story for Origins is pretty interesting, and Bayek is a character that I really like. He is probably the strongest character for me, the strongest character I've seen in a while. Maybe since Edward, maybe since Ezio himself, because he has so much weight in this story. Like when it unfolds, he's the one that went ahead and created the core tenets. He's the one that he and Aya went ahead and helped create what would become the order we see today of the Brotherhood. He's a very important character, and I really do think that with how really deep he is and interesting he is, that he deserved much more than just one game and 2 DLCs. We should have seen him actually build up the order with Aya. And we know that they build up the Hidden Ones. It all happens in the lore. The Hidden Ones become the Brotherhood, and you know, they are what they are today in the modern day, even though they're kind of like ass in modern day. But the DLC, the Hidden Ones, explore why they don't kill innocents and the core tenets being produced there and so on. There was also the Pharaoh's Curse, which is, you know, neat, but it's mainly just gameplay and mythical stuff, which is fine. You know, it's cool. But what I wanted to talk about is how we should have had gameplay of building up the order through our friends we made along the way. Funny enough, especially on Aya's side. Similarly, like, you know, we could have had a situation where it's like Syndicate, where I love for both Aya and Bayek to create the orders, like bases, their strongholds, and you know, build up the order person by person, right? Turning old Magi outposts into Hidden One bases, being able to customize them and use them as fronts to better Egypt as well, and kind of like be like a replacement that helps the populace instead of be like a detriment, like the Order of the Ancients businesses that would fuck everything up in each area that they were in charge of. It would have been really interesting. I think at a narrative standpoint, using these buildings to be your bases in the beginning before Cleopatra betrays you and everything, to be your Magi bases of operations against the Order, then transforming them into Hidden One bases that offer more diverse gameplay options would have been really fucking fun, honestly, in my honest opinion. I think the big problem is that they are now focused on the Isu part of their lore instead of stopping a disaster or primarily trying to get pieces of Eden away from the Templars. It's all about the Isu now. But it pisses me off that they went ahead and just killed off Juno and her entire cult in a fucking comic, by the way, which is so goddamn fucking irritating to me, because that was like their driving antagonist they could have had to push the modern day into a better story, but they just my god, it irritates the shit out of me. It's fucking sad, dude. But I really do think that they could have set up Bayek to be Layla's Ezio, where Bayek develops the core tenets of the Brotherhood more thoroughly through trial and error, develops their techniques, hunts, and discovers how far the Order has gone since Caesar's death. It would have been really fucking cool to see Bayek and Aya's touch on the Isu artifacts that help guide Layla to finally stop Abstergo in a last-ditch effort to control the world, but mistakenly being tricked by Juno to build a machine that will give her a constant form to rule over the Earth and the humans on it. If they did not fucking kill her in that goddamn comic again, I'm getting fucking mad again. It's irritating. It really is, But it is what it is, right? They could have had it to where Cassandra being another connecting factor that connects to Atlantis and the vast knowledge that the Assassins and Abstergo want to use to each other's benefit. Like Abstergo trying to get the knowledge and blueprints Juno needs to put together a device to take over the world, while the Assassins need the knowledge they need to help trap Juno again and potentially turn all the pieces of Eden powerless. That could have been really fucking interesting too. So yeah, that's it hurts my soul, right? And they could have even fit the lore for Valhalla into this, right? Because Eivor bringing the assassins to the supercomputer, I can't even say the word, the tree, the big old tree of worlds, right? Yggdrasil, right? I can't even say it. Yggdrasil. Yeah, whatever. I'm going with that. They could have, Eivor could have brought the assassins over to it, which Layla was stuck in, with the reader and all that shit, right? But they could have had it to where this could have been an entry point to disrupt Juno's plan for humanity. All fucking wasted just to have the series go back to the same place, modern day stuff taking the back burner spot and just following the characters in history in a never-ending cycle, because Ubisoft just wants to pump out games and not really think too much about the modern day and just want to go ahead and just follow through history in their own weird way, right? And while Shadow's gameplay wise was, I think is pretty good from what I've seen, the story being mixed depending on who you ask. The direction of the series is going fucking nowhere again. It just irritates the fuck out of me. But Origins, was the beginning of something fucking great, right? Like, was it itself something perfect? No, but it was a great step into something that could have been more. And they did do that, because Odyssey itself was a good direction too in where it was going. But it just, there's some things I will say about Odyssey in its own sort of review. But Jesus, right? Like they made two good steps, right, at the time, right? Of course, Odyssey isn't like what you would think an Assassin's Creed game should be, right? It shouldn't even have the Assassin's Creed like logo on it. It should have been something else, right? Of course, it's still technically not really a numbered sequel, technically, but I don't know. It's not Assassin's Creed at all, but the gameplay and everything is pretty solid in that aspect. I will give them that. But I am playing Valhalla right now, and Jesus fuck, what the fuck am I playing? So yes, I will be giving my thoughts on these games at some point. How they could have been better, and all my thoughts and opinions on that. But however, what do you guys think of everything that Ubisoft has been making nowadays? Like, it's hard to even play these games sometimes, because sometimes I don't want to play an open world game, but I gotta play it. I gotta play the Ubisoft, the Ubisoft games, because that Ubisoft is just in their DNA, right? It's just everything they put in there, all the fluff, all all like the filler, all the distance that they put between your objective and you, and it's just a little bit upsetting, right? And like sometimes the horses and the boats, they don't really do well when it comes like the automatic riding along. So it's a bad time. But that's all from me. What story ideas do you have for the game? What do you guys think the game should do to get back on track? Like, you know, the series to get back on track? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and see you guys in the next video. Stay healthy mentally, emotionally, and physically, and see you guys next time. Peace.